at risk of getting assaulted, killed, or arrested.
Well,
So it makes a big difference.
Well, the
in
police
terms of
commissioner
violence.
said that they weren't supposed to be doing what they call it verticals, right? They weren't
Yes.
supposed to be doing verticals anyway. So can you just give us a little bit of background as to that scenario? Why was that even being done?
A vertical is decided by the police officer if he wants to do a vertical or not. Some guys don't, some guys do. Unfortunately, this police officer, who is Asian, I went to the race car in, happened to be walking up the staircase but with protocol, flashlight in hand, gun in the other, if it's total pitch black. And unfortunately,
But the commander of that precinct complained. He said he ordered his people not to do verticals.
then that falls on the lieutenant,
And they did it.
sergeant,
They did it
and then
anyway.
it rolls downhill.
Are you aware that the captain, I think he's an inspector, had already said he complained. He was angry about what they did because he had instructed them not to do verticals.
Well, if that's factual, I'm not
so
sure.
I'm about to say.
Well, do two
it's just-
rookies normally go out together? I'm curious
Yeah,
about that.
doing training purposes, yeah, you do. I've done it.
So who's offering direction in terms of situations that neither is familiar with because they don't have the experience?
Well, you just go by training.
I want to ask
training.
Sean,
Sure.
because there was a time that you complained you didn't get a chance to express, and I want to make sure that you get. I want to ask you about the police department devising way to getting out of stop and frisk that winds up putting black men in prison for the same things that whites do, where they go into their pockets and they search their pockets,
Right.
and they find that something that they shouldn't be going in the pockets in the first place. What is your...
Well, as far as stop and frisk is concerned, the thing with stop and frisk, I can see why people were for it, but I see more why they were against it, especially when you look at, again, the numbers, because it was something like, I think it was 90% of stop and frisk within 5 years produced no arrest. You know what I mean? It's like 90% produced no arrest.
Crime was down.
Yeah, your crime was down, but at
Now?
the same time, you're stopping people. No, crime is actually still going down now.
But it's down
Crime is
all
not
over.
up. It's down all over.
That
You
was
know what I
it.
mean? Crime is still going down now. But like I said, again, if you take people and you treat them like it's an open air, minimum security prison, what do you think the reaction's going to be? If I'm walking down and you shake me down and you're looking for something, I understand the theory behind it, but the actual execution of it makes people feel like prisoners. If I'm on my way to work, I'm a working man. I'm 9 to 5 working man, even if I wasn't. But I'm a working man and I have to get stopped on the corner of my house. I have to get stopped down the block from my house. I have to get stopped on the block of my job. I have to get stopped all these times just to show that crime is down. No, that's a violation to me. Now I'm feeling like, okay, am I a suspect all the time? Why? And so when you add that, when you put that in there, it makes for this bomb that's going to explode. Not saying it's going to explode violently, but it's going to explode. You have people in the street, and I've been out there. I was out there last Thursday and last Friday, and what shocked me the most is it's not just black people that are out there. So we understand.
You've been.
Oh yeah, I was out there last week.
Okay.
I was stopping traffic. Yes, yes I was. But you have to understand, like it's mostly white people, young people are out there, and that's the point. And there are older people out there too that are leading us and guiding us, but these young people have it. They understand what's going on. It's a mixture.
Yeah.
So you have to realize it's not a white black thing.
Yeah.
It's a race thing, and they understand that we look like our lives don't matter.
And there has been a...
We're going to protesting.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. As long as it's going down the right path, legal. When you start breaking things, burning things like those anarchists were on that we saw on TV,
But that
pure
wasn't
anarchists,
happening. That wasn't happening. Did that happen here in New York?
That's no good.
That didn't
Yeah.
happen.
No,
though.
it didn't
But
hear it happen here in New
protesting,
York.
we're good to go.
And the good thing about this protesting is now we're talking about the fact that now people are having a voice. What about the voice, the article that we read, Bert, about the voice of the fact that people are now looking at whether or not race relations have been discussed more or less with President Obama being in office?
Yeah, that's a very, very excellent subject, dealing with what has the country really come to since he's been president regarding race. and there are polls that show that people think it's worse. That people think that and it's hard to really separate the reason people feel a certain way about a black president. Is it they really believe that it's worse, or just by him being there, do they assign that attach the condition of getting worse to him, something he did because of who he is? When Mary Landrieu, when she lost that seat in a senatorial seat in South Carolina, she said, before she lost, she said she was concerned that a lot of white people just don't like Obama because he's black. She said that herself.
Well, you know, it's interesting because the fact that we're talking about race relations, even on a political, high level, is I think a positive, because it wasn't discussed before. And if it had to come from having a black president, then I guess it's a positive step in the right direction. I think the reason why people are looking at it as more things have become more negative is because things have become more overt. People are now, we had the president, disrespected during, a very large meeting, you're a liar, that kind of thing. Things that when we had, jokes, we had, them talking about the president's wife and making comments about her physicality.
And his children.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things that normally wouldn't happen if you didn't have a black president. So it gave the opportunity for people to see whether or not there were people with views that they're willing to express, especially towards a high office like the presidency, with that type of negativity.
Yeah, in the South, can you imagine? None of the southern states that were part of the Confederacy, none of them have a legislature that is Democratic. None have governors that is Democratic, and even the Congress people, all of them white, except that you have that Republican, but there are no Democrats.
So, question.
None.
Who do you blame?
Well, that we can do another show on that.
To blame people who don't vote.
Right.
Well, in Ferguson, there's some of the civil rights leaders that have said that the problem there, when they went there to Ferguson, was that there was no leadership there that was dealing with the reality of for the past 10, 20 years. They weren't voting. They weren't involved in civic affairs, and they were subject to the most pathetic oppression by them black men being arrested, black people, not just the men, women, arrested for the flimsy excuse so they can feed the coffers to run the government.
Yeah, and we don't just have, the voting is a very important aspect of it, but we've also seen the fact that the demographics of America is changing. They're looking at in the next 20 years, I think they said, that whites may be the minority.
Right.
By
2050.
Yeah, by 2050. So so if you have that situation, there are going to be differing viewpoints. But it's interesting that even with all the voting that you're talking about in terms of the Republicans having all the southern states, it's not just even a white-black issue, because there are poor whites that are suffering as much as blacks that are still voting against their own interests. With the haves and the have-nots. They're voting with the haves and they don't have anything.
Similar with NYPD. NYPD is the greatest minority.
Greatest minority.
Meaning what?
What is it?
There's more Chinese, Spanish, black, Filipino officers.
Greatest diversity, you mean?
The minority is the majority in NYPD. It's not 90% white. And it's not about black and white.
White is the plurality.
It's about crime and us trying to make a safer place for everyone to live in.
Okay.
It's not about black and white.
I want to ask both of you gentlemen, there's something about this video that has really galvanized the country and the world.
But how come
but my point is, it's very rare that you get a video like this. But every day...
Edited video.
Edited.
Edited.
But every day, for for the past 100 years, there's been abuse of black people by the police that are not video. Now, if you look at it in that way, the video has missed 99% of what's been going on.
Well, we don't know if it's video because there are cameras all over but we don't get to see all the video.
No,
so.
I'm not just talking about the past 5 years. I'm talking about going back many years, decades.
And
the frustration and anger has been building up in many black people. I'm not black. and they feel it, and it's come out this way. It's come out. What the video is the focal point.
The jurors were a mix of people. I'm not sure what the number was.
Yeah.
They are presented with factual information via video and witnesses, and maybe even DNA evidence.
But you already agreed. It depends on how you present it. Right?
So
you did agree to that.
How it's presented?
Yes, how the
the
evidence,
prosecutor presents the
how the
evidence.
case is presented with the witnesses,
Right.
and how the witnesses are challenged. You can decide to challenge the witness. You can decide not to challenge the witness. Whatever he says is okay. And others, you'll beat them to the ground.
I hope that's not the case, because I would consider this Russia if that was the case. Thank God that's not the case.
No, they've already said that. That's what happened in Ferguson.
Well, Tommy, did you see? I don't know if did Maurice send you the video of the cop who I believe he got convicted that shot the guy who was getting his license out of the car? You know, in South Carolina. Right. You know, he pulled the guy over for a traffic infraction, and the guy pulled into the gas station and then got out of his car, which is mistake number one. He's supposed to wait for instructions, but the guy got out of his car, and then the police officer said to him, you know, get your license. And he turned around to his car to get his license, and the police officer just started shooting him. And he turned around, and the police officer said he thought he was reaching for something or diving into his car. But that's another situation that we're talking about.
I think they arrested that cop.
Yes.
Similar to Staten Island. He resisted. He didn't follow procedure.
No, he didn't.
No, he did.
No, he didn't.
Did you see
he
the video?
actually turned to get his license.
We didn't see the video.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's turning to get a gun.
No.
I don't know what he's doing.
No.
That was the argument that the police officer had. But the problem was, even after he turned around and didn't have a gun and was backing away from the car with his license, the police officer continued to shoot him 4 more times, something like that. You know, so I mean, it was
via state law and protocol. If he's not indicted, then that's the law. It's not jurors saying, I like this guy, I'm not going to indict him. Just like what happened in Staten Island. They're presented with all the evidence and factual from 50 plus. I don't repeat myself, I don't sound repetitive.
But you don't know.
But
That's secret. You don't know what they did.
Well, the prosecutor, the Staten Island DA, I believe, is trying to get the judge to sign off on that, to show everyone all the evidence.
The judge wouldn't do it. Yeah. Okay.
So Ferguson, remember I told you guys that the cop was getting beat up in the car, and you guys looked at me like I was crazy? Remember that statement? And you guys were like, what are you talking? This guy's nuts. And that happened to be the case.
Honestly, you don't know if that's the case.
No, there's evidence.
You don't know if that's the case. Because I still don't believe
evidence.
That's the story that was told.
There's medical evidence.
You know why? Because they're not going to trial. I don't believe that.
There's medical
evidence. There's not going to be a trial to prove that. What medical evidence that what?
Medical evidence.
The bruises on his face?
No.
The blush on his face?
Plus, unfortunately, may he rest in peace, his skin was on the gun.
Right.
His blood tracked from the floor mat all the way to the cop's pants.
We can't try this.
So
we can't try this here. I want to ask you.
So I'm sorry. Just let me finish with this, please.
But we're not going to try this, are we?
Evidence. They showed to the grand jury, and they said, "Wow, I didn't know that." The media says this, but now that I see the truth and I see the other side of the story, we can't indict him.
Don't call it the truth. Call it the other side of the story.
We can't say
we don't know if it's the truth.
And a grand jury can make errors just like any other jury can make errors. A judge can make errors. People are fallible.
I want to ask Sean another question. I want to make it. Sean is a great thinker here. He's almost as good as Thomas. Really, you're great guy.
Likewise.
I want to ask you something about the impression that white police officers who live in the suburbs have of black men. No, wait. No, I'm not finished.
Okay.
It's killing me.
Okay.
I want to ask you, do we contribute to that by supporting the music, the lyrics, the videos, where we say that we thugs?
You know what? That's,
We
that's
say-
a great
Stitches.
Yeah, no,
Stitches,
I just want to ask.
Stitches. That's a great question.
We put this out there in the media. We put this out in the world. We say we're keeping it real, and we're doing this for 30 years.
Okay.
So the music plantation has gotten us out of the streets to make money for them for the white purchasers of that. So, and we say,
Question.
and we say our women are hoes.
Right.
See, so I mean, so now, does that affect? I want to try to help him a little bit.
James Brown right now is turning in his grave. You know that, right?
Does that make it affect the thought process of someone who sees a black man as a threat? Because the black man says, "Yes, I am a threat."
To answer that yet, I think it does, but that comes from lack of information. And what's
Yes.
yeah, it does.
It contributes.
I think
Thank
it does
you.
contribute because if you don't know about something, all you're informed by is what you do know, right?
Yes, yes.
It doesn't mean you're
I'm
knowledgeable.
just trying to
of
be
it.
real. I'm trying to be.
Right.
I'm the one trying to be real.
Right. It doesn't mean you're knowledgeable of it. It just means that this is all that you know. So
Yeah.
I'll give you that. The music does contribute and things, and videos do contribute, and how we talk contributes.
Yeah.
My counterpoint to that is, it's almost like we have to hold ourselves to a different standard because people are allowed to make music. I've heard rock music. I've heard heavy metal
Freedom
where they're
of
saying
speech, yeah.
incredibly crazy stuff. You know what I mean? And so they're allowed to do that. And at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that all white people think that way or all white people feel that way. Unfortunately, that's how we're regarded.
Yeah,
you know what
all
I mean?
people are
and so,
influenced that
to
way.
your point, do I think that maybe we need to not do that? I don't know, because I think it's a free speech issue. But I do believe that certain things do help move forward. You know what I mean?
And I just want to
do,
say,
I do
Bert,
believe it's a
bringing
free
something
speech
like this
issue.
up in the last couple of minutes we have is very dangerous.
It's a good question, though. It is.
Because that's another topic that can go on for an hour.
I want to
Music and everything in
I want to
general.
support what he says to Sharpton. He's been bringing up Sharpton for a while.
Sharpton,
Wait, hold it. Sharpton has said.
he's got to go.
Sharpton has said he has approached these rappers and said, "I'm going to go by what you're saying. Why you only have these negative comments and never disparaging statements to say about black people? Why you don't say that about others, Hispanics or Asians? Why it's just us?" And he says he never gets a good answer. Why? Because they're paid to say that. So that's I think
That's a whole nother. I think you need to do a whole time.
I
have a lot to say about
And,
that.
and in that industry, they do whatever pays. And if
Yeah,
people
whatever
are
pays.
unfortunately buying that music, then
But
it's
we
going to
pay the
continue to
price.
happen.
Yes.
we pay the price.
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you, how do you feel about being on the show?
In the minute we have left, right?
I love it. I want to come back.
You want to come back?
Yes.
You love punishment.
Punishment. I'm trying to spread the truth.
All right.
The actual truth.
All right, I'd just like to say to
Factual.
all of our viewers that we've had a beautiful show. We've discussed the hot topics of the moment, and we're glad that you were here today, and we'll see you next time.